It was a humid August evening in 2023, the kind where the Chicago skyline shimmered like a distant promise through the haze of Lake Michigan's breeze. Lon and Gwyn stood in the shadows across from her childhood home on Elmwood Avenue in suburban Evanston, her heart pounding not with fear, but with the cold precision of a long-buried wound finally splitting open. The house lights flickered on as her parents pulled into the driveway, oblivious to the fact that the locks had been changed hours ago. Lan's fingers tightened around the new key in her pocket, the one that now belonged to her LLC, Phoenix Rise Properties. 9 years earlier, they'd left her stranded in Hanoi, Vietnam, with nothing but a crumpled note and 500,000 dong. Tonight, she'd make them feel that same hollow abandonment. But this time, on American soil where the law backed her every step. Lon had always been the invisible pillar in the Gwyn family. The eldest daughter expected to shoulder burdens without complaint, a role etched deep into the cultural fabric of their Vietnamese immigrant roots, where family harmony often meant swallowing personal pain for the greater good. Her parents, Min and Hoa, had fled Saigon in the late 70s, building a modest life in Chicago through sheer grit, Min running a small pho restaurant in Uptown, Hoa managing the books while raising 2 daughters. But harmony was a facade. From as early as Lon could remember, her younger sister, Mai, was the fragile lotus flower, delicate, cherished, always in need of protection. Mai's asthma attacks as a child had turned her into the center of the universe, every family decision orbiting her health and whims. Lon, at 10, learned to cook banh mi for dinner while her parents shuttled Mai to doctor's appointments. "You're strong, Lon," her mother would say, her voice laced with that immigrant guilt. "Mai needs us more." It wasn't jealousy that gnawed at Lon back then, it was the quiet erosion of her own worth, like waves wearing down a cliff until nothing solid remained. By 12, Lon was balancing the family's grocery budget on a battered notebook, her small hands jotting down expenses while Mai practiced piano in the living room, the notes floating like accusations of favoritism. Friends at school noticed, kids from other Vietnamese families whispering about how Lan's parents treated her like a live-in helper. "They're just traditional," Lon defended, echoing the cultural mantra of filial piety, where questioning elders was akin to betrayal. But the cracks deepened. At 13, her parents dipped into the $8,200 she'd saved from Tet Red envelopes, neighborhood odd jobs, and selling homemade spring rolls at school events to cover Mai's private tutoring for a gifted program. "We'll replace it, con guy," her father promised, his eyes avoiding hers. They never did. The money vanished into Mai's potential, leaving Lan's dreams of art school feeling like distant folklore. The hurts piled up like unpaid bills. Her 14th birthday fell on the same day as Mai's school talent show. The family cake went to celebrating Mai's second-place ribbon, while Lon got a hurried happy birthday over leftover pho. "Family first," her mother chided when Lan's eyes welled up. By 15, Lon had internalized the silence, the way Vietnamese daughters were taught to endure without outburst, "Do the dying, preserve face." But endurance has limits. When her prom came around at 16, the thrift store dress she'd saved for was borrowed for Mai's cousin's quinceanera. "She needs it more, you're practical," her father said, dismissing Lan's tears as American drama. Meanwhile, Mai flaunted a $400 gown for her own sophomore dance, paid for with restaurant tips meant for the family pot. Lon swallowed it all, the bitterness fermenting into a quiet resolve. One day, she'd escape this invisible cage. Then came March 15th, 2017, a date seared into her soul like a brand. The family had scrimped for a heritage trip to Hanoi, Vietnam, ostensibly to connect with roots. but really to visit extended family and show off their American success. Lon, 17 and passionate about photography, had contributed half her savings, dreaming of capturing Hanoi's chaotic streets and ancient temples for her portfolio. She envisioned it as a bridge to college applications, maybe even a scholarship abroad. On the fourth day, after wandering Hon Keem Lake alone with her camera, she returned to their rented apartment in the old quarter. The door swung open to emptiness, no suitcases, no chatter. Just a note on the sticky rice-stained table and a paltry 500,000 dong, barely enough for a few meals. Urgent business back home. You're mature enough. Fly back when you can. Love. Mom and Dad. No ticket. No phone charger. No explanation. Panic clawed at her throat as she dialed their numbers straight to voicemail. Mai's social media showed read, but no reply. Alone in a city where her rusty Vietnamese barely helped, Lon collapsed against the wall, sobs echoing in the humid air. The landlord evicted her the next morning, leaving her with a backpack and that pathetic cash. That night, huddled in a 24-hour banh mi shop's grimy bathroom, buying the cheapest coffee to stay inside, Lan's world shattered. At 2:43 a.m., staring at her reflection in the cracked mirror, she whispered a vow, "I'll survive this. And I'll never need you again." It took 4 agonizing days, begging at the U.S. Embassy for emergency papers, wiring money from a sympathetic aunt back in Chicago, crashing on a distant cousin's floor in Hanoi before she scraped together a flight home. Exhausted, traumatized, she arrived at O'Hare 2 weeks later, only to be greeted with casual indifference. "Oh, you're back," her mother said, stirring soup in the kitchen. "How was the extra time in Vietnam?" Her father grunted from the couch, eyes on the TV. Mai smirked. "Did you get me any souvenirs?" No apologies. No hugs, just erasure. As if her ordeal was a minor inconvenience. In that moment, the cultural weight of family above all cracked under the betrayal. Lon finished high school flipping burgers at a local diner, discovered her college fund drained for Mai's therapy sessions, and fled to the University of Illinois on loans and multiple jobs. She cut ties, building walls of silence to protect the fragile self she'd pieced together. By 22, Lon graduated with a degree in digital media, landing a junior role at Apex Creative Agency in downtown Chicago. She thrived in the cutthroat world of social media campaigns, her eye for visuals turning heads. Promotions came fast. By 24, she managed big clients, moonlighting as an influencer consultant under Lens Media, amassing 35,000 followers. She kept it hidden from her family, sporadic texts for Tet or Christmas. Nothing more. Her life was hers, a sleek studio in Lincoln Park, a reliable Toyota, and quiet investments in real estate via Phoenix Rise Properties. First, a condo flip in Wicker Park, then a rental in Rogers Park. Success wasn't flashy, it was armor. A shield against the abandonment that still haunted her dreams. The simmer turned to boil at a family tech gathering in February 2023. At her uncle's house in Skokie. Lon hadn't wanted to go. These events were minefields of passive digs. Like, when will you settle down like Mai? While Mai, now a struggling beauty vlogger with 1,800 subs, basked in praise for her latest sponsored makeup haul. But her cousin Min insisted. For the baby's first Lunar New Year. Standing by the altar with incense smoke curling, Lon overheard her mother boasting to Aunt Kim, "Lon turned out fine because we taught her independence early. Should have pushed harder. Mai's the sensitive one. Needs our support." The words ignited something primal. A fury rooted in years of suppressed pain. They were rewriting her trauma as tough love? Lon confronted them. Voice low but steel sharp. Is that how you spin leaving me in Hanoi with pocket change? Parenting genius. Her mother's eyes darted. Don't exaggerate. Lon. It built character. Her father waved it off. Still holding grudges? Grow up. No remorse. Just pride in their cruelty. Lon left without a word. The drive home a blur of rage. Peace was over, justice called. She reconnected with old friend Thuy Tran, now a realtor in the suburbs. Over phone. Lon asked for intel. Weeks later, your parents are drowning, $75,000 behind on the mortgage. Foreclosure imminent. Cold satisfaction bloomed. On July 10, 2023, Lon closed on Elmwood Avenue for $345,000 through her LLC. Cash deal. Anonymous. Her parents had rented it out while downsizing to a condo. Too ashamed to admit failure, she let the lease run out. Oversaw subtle upgrades, new floors, fresh paint, and waited. The anticipation a slow burn in her veins. The explosion came at Thanksgiving dinner at a ritzy Vietnamese fusion spot in Evanston. Lon arrived fashionably late in a tailored black dress, gold earrings from her grandmother glinting like warnings. Her father was mid-brag, real estate's tough. But our investment property's solid, long-term play. Lon slid an envelope across. Eviction notice. 30 days. Wine spilled, gasps echoed. What? Her mother choked. Lon played a video, her unlocking the door, touring her renovations. Phoenix Rise owns it now. Post-foreclosure buy. Chaos erupted, denials. Threats of lawsuits. Legal as hell, Lon said. Eyes locked on theirs. Talk to my attorneys. My gaped, you're loaded. Lan's smile was ice. No. Just self-made. Her father's roar. We're blood. Lon stood, in Hanoi. You cut that tie. This is me honoring it. She walked out. Her mother's pleas fading. Lon. Wait. Outside. The wind whipped her hair. Freedom tasted like vindication. The aftermath was a storm. Her mother ranted on Facebook about ungrateful kids. Lon countered with public docs of their defaults, shifting sympathy her way. Her father's email begged with nostalgia, teaching her to bike in that driveway. Lon replied, unsubscribe. My pitch to collab blocked. A TikTok under at Lonlens Media, when you buy the house your parents ditched you for, went viral. 900K views in days. Messages poured in, shared betrayals. Resilience tips. Thuy called, epic. Let's partner, you're media savvy. My realty. By Christmas. Her parents vacated, leaving junk behind. Lon turned it into an Airbnb at $380 per night, cozy suburban retreat near Northwestern. Each booking healed a scar, turning pain into profit. In March 2025, 8 years post-Hanoi, Lon revisited Vietnam, luxury stay in Hanoi, photographing temples at leisure. FaceTiming Thuy from a rooftop, feels like reclaiming my soul. Back home, Phoenix Rise grew to 4 properties, their partnership boomed. Family outreach persisted. Her father, nearing retirement, broke. Hinted at aid. Lon pointed to public assistance. Her mother sent a tech card. Sorry. My. Hitting rock bottom. Enrolled in community college. Met Lon for coffee in fall 2026. Therapy's opening my eyes to golden child crap. Not begging forgiveness, just acknowledging. She gifted a faded photo, Lon at 8. Winning a school art contest her parents skipped for Mai's doctor visit. A nod to the past. Not erasure. People asked if revenge was worth it. Not revenge, reclamation, Lon said. The house sold in 2027 to a young Vietnamese-American family, the wife, a photographer. Planned a studio in Lan's old room. Good vibes here, she said. Lon agreed, signing away the last tether. Her memoir, Stranded Roots, From Abandonment to Empire, launched at a Chicago bookstore. Family showed, awkward congrats. Her father admitting, "Your truth matters." A bracelet from mom, a key charm. Note: to new beginnings. Healing wasn't tidy. Coffees with mom grew sporadic. Texts with my tentative. But Lan's life flourished. Speaking gigs. Expanded holdings. Advocacy for immigrant kids' mental health. On the book's anniversary. Back in Hanoi, Lan mailed postcards from a cafe near her old nightmare spot. To her parents, building beauty takes time. Hanoi reminds me, not absolution, but evolution. Her name is Lan Nguyen. She's 28. Chicago-based media exec and investor. You'd never guess. But at 17, her parents stranded her in Hanoi. That's where her story ignited, not ended.